Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on Ilm al-Huroof, or the science of letters. I'm going to start off with the absolute basics. What is the science of letters? Well, at a glance, the science of letters is a kind of Arabic numerology. Each letter is assigned a numerical value. Those letter values are added together to determine a value of words. Similar older systems like this do exist, in Hebrew called Gematria, and in Greek isopsophy, for example. According to the mystics, letters are far more powerful than most realize. Some go as far as to say each letter has a spirit of its own. Ideas like this can be found in the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Creation. Know that numbers have secrets, just as letters have effects, from the Shams al-Marif. In order to understand the occult usage of these letters, first we must take the time to familiarize ourselves with these letters. So if you're unfamiliar with the Arabic alphabet, go ahead and pause the video now and take some time to study them. There's a lot of videos about this online, so you can find lots of good information. One thing I want to point out in today's video is that this system that I'm showing now is the modern arrangement of the letters. And in this arrangement, you can see the letters like ba, ta, tha are arranged by shape, meaning that all of these letters have like the boat, and you can see next to it that all the similar looking letters are arranged. The older system didn't do this. They had a different system. Letters are connected in words, like cursive in English. So when we write these, you can see, as we write the letters, we combine them together into a type of cursive. Ayn, lam, mim. These individual letters combined become a ilm, meaning knowledge, religious knowledge, learning, sciences, as in Ilm al-Huroof, the science of the sands, Ayn, La, Mim, combined together. This concept of knowledge and seeking knowledge is actually foundational and very prevalent in the Muslim community.
فتعالى الله الملك الحق ولا تعجل بالقرآن من قبل أن يقضى إليك وحيه وقل رب زدني علما.
The Quran often mentioned the pursuit of knowledge, which led many Muslims in the past to pursue sciences, philosophy, art, and the occult. Great libraries were produced in places like Mali and Baghdad. Rabbi zidni ilma. My Lord, increase me in knowledge. First, we have to learn this type of mnemonic device. The modern arrangement of the letters, like I said, is not going to be useful to us when we're looking at the older manuscripts. These words that are present here will help us to spell out. Abjad hawaz huti kaliman safas qarashat takhda dazzag. And this is the more common system. There are some variant ones as well, but we're not going to talk about those. We're going to just stick to the basics today. So once you learn this phrase, even though it sounds like a spell or something, it's not that at all. It's just a mnemonic device to help you understand the arrangement of the letters. So here you can see the letters written in the traditional arrangement in Arabic. And also remember that when we're reading Arabic, we're going to be reading it from right to left. So now you can see Abjad. These letters here, see? Alif, Ba, Jim, Dal, Abjad, and so forth. Hawaz, Huti, Kaliman, Safas, Qarasha, Takhta, Dazzag. You can also pause here if you need to take a look at that. But now once you understand that, we can talk about how each one of these individual letters is prescribed a numeric value. So let's take a look at each letter and let's talk about its corresponding value. I've arranged them now in the opposite direction. Remember that if we're reading in the way that English is written, the letters are arranged that way. This is also the case with the numbers. So here I'm using the Western numbers, but also the Arabic numbers are written in this orientation going this way from left to right. It can be a little confusing, but try and keep up, okay? So in total, there are 28 letters altogether. In this arrangement, each one is given a numeric value. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then they start to go up by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, right? So forth. And then up by 100, 100, 2, 3, 4. And then all the way when you get to Ayn, you have 1,000. So that's 28 letters total. In some instances, the word la, which means no, la. This is similar to the Hebrew word lo, which you may also encounter in text. This word is sometimes counted in some systems as the 29th letter. The 29th letter is usually given the value of 0. And an easy way to remember this is that la means literally no, no value. All right, if you need to, you can pause this, copy this down as well. Okay. Words made up of letters hold a numerical value. See? Ilm, like we did before. So we looked at this word before, but now let's break down what its actual Arabic numerological value is. Each letter, Ayn, Lam, Mim, has a numeric value. Ayn 70, Lam 30, Mim 40. And when we combine that together, we get 140. 140 being the numerical value of the word Ilm. Let's look at another example. Allah. Allah is the word for God in Arabic. Has the letters Alif, Lam, Lam again, Ha. Alif equals to 1, Lam equals to 30. The repeated Lam, another 30. Ha, 5, giving us a total of 66. So the numerical value of Allah being 66. Each letter itself can be broken apart or spelled out to determine a unique value. So this is an interesting concept from the Shams al-Marif. Let's take, for example, Dal. The letter Dal, we know from our chart before, equals to 4. But the phonetic spelling of the letter, meaning if I took the way the letter sounds and spelled it out, that would give me a new. So we took Da, A, L. See? Dal. Spelling the letter phonetically, and we have a new value here. 4, 1, 30, giving us a total 35. So Dal, the individual character, 4, but Dal spelled out, 35. Let's do one more example. Jim. So Jim is equal to 3, but its deeper numerical value could be understood as 53. And I achieved this by spelling out phonetically the letter. J, E, M, Jim. Each one of these holding a numeric value, 3, 10, 40, giving me a grand total of 53. So now when you encounter these different numbers and if you're trying to decode something and it's not making sense, it may be that the system was using this more complex understanding of individual letters. It's also possible to encode entire sentences this way. For example, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. This phrase appears in the Quran at the beginning of almost every single surah, is used sometimes in literature. So if we're looking at an ancient text, you might see this phrase written at the top, imbuing that literary work with a type of godliness. So if we look at all of the letters here individually of this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim entire sentence, and we add up each one of these, their numerical value, then we come to the grand total of 786. People around the Muslim world know this number very well, and they use it as a shorthand. Sometimes people text it, and you'll see it as stickers on cars. You'll see it dangling from people's rear view mirrors in their car, like on a little amulet or a CD or something. Because of that, it's become very popular, but not everybody knows that this is the actual system that explains how that breaks down. It has been said that all the secrets of the Quran are encapsulated in the first chapter. All of the secrets of the first chapter are encapsulated in the phrase, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And all of the meanings of Bismillah are encapsulated in the letter Ba. So this is another example of how these letters can be conduits of distilled information, and they can contain all kinds of information within this thinking process. All of the secrets get combined down into this one letter. So sometimes in some texts you'll just see the Ba, just the letter, but that is actually signifying this entire phrase. So concepts like this you should familiarize yourself with so that when you encounter them in text, you have a little bit of an idea what they're talking about. So the opening chapter is one that many know well. And in this instance, we're going to be talking about letters again. So all but 7 of the 28 letters of the Arabic alphabet are used in the construction of this particular chapter. And those 7 letters have become like occulted letters or special letters that have their own specific inherent importance. The 7 unused letters of the Fatiha. So here you can see the letters, and you can see that each letter is ascribed a different attribute, whether that be a day of the week, or a celestial body, or one of the 99 names of Allah, or the divine names. You can also see that those divine names begin with the individual letters. So Jabbar begins with Jim, Fard begins with Fa, Shakur begins with Sheen. You may also notice that there are 7 celestial bodies listed here, but those do not correspond to our current scientific understanding. And that's because this system uses what's known as the 7 classical planets, and that would include the sun and the moon. And it would exclude some other planets that were found after the invention of the telescope. Another concept I want to talk about is muqatti'at. So throughout the Quran, there are what are known as disjointed letters, which appear at the beginning of some verses. Here are those letters, and those letters are 14 in total. So 14 letters in total, and those letters appear in 14 unique combinations. There are various understandings of what these disjointed letters can represent. In some Sufi traditions, these combinations of letters are extensions of the 99 names of Allah, or further attributes of the divine presence. In the academic world, people have speculated that these may be scribal errors, or that they may be individual signatures of different scribes, or even are meant to signify the order in which the books should be arranged. So there's no consensus about what these letters mean, which adds to their mystery. If you rearrange the 14 letters in an anagram, you get a sentence that spells this. Does anybody know what it says? So we understand that these letters have a lot of different significances, and I want to talk about those briefly. So the religious significance is very important. Muslims believe the Holy Quran to be the word of God sent to them by the Prophet Muhammad via the angel Gabriel, or Jibreel. It's for this reason that the words of the Quran are considered very sacred, and in turn, the letters used to make up those words are also given an inherent spiritual importance. Here you can see a very old copy of the Quran. Beyond just a liturgical language that became the foundation for many spoken Arabic dialects, these letters are believed to communicate the divine will of God. Now let's take a look at the occult understanding. The letters are significant in many different occult traditions, and they hold particular importance in encoding of talismans, in meditations, in relationship to the 99 names that we talked about before, in astrology, and even in practical applications as well, like mathematical applications. Know that letters are not bound by time. They may be used for ascetic practices and specific acts whenever a person wishes. The numbers may be used for constructing talismans, but are subject to the celestial spheres, from the Shams al-Marif. So here Al-Buni is talking about the letters themselves as being a practice unto themselves. So he's asserting that when using the letters in meditative practices, dhikr or remembrances, this can be done basically whenever a person wants, unlike the creation of so-called magic squares, which require specific celestial alignments in order for them to function. In the occult tradition, the letters have even more attributes associated with them. Let's take a look at this chart here from the Shams al-Marif. Here we see the letters divided into columns and categories. The first thing is they're broken down by their elemental alignment. Fire, al-nar, air, al-hawa, water, al-ma, earth, al-turab. Here you can see in my translation that they are aligned thusly. But it goes beyond that, and it starts to give us different words. Yellow bile, blood, phlegm, black bile. These are terms that are used in a system called the four humors, which is like an ancient medicinal system. Beyond these two types of things being ascribed to the letters, we also have alchemical applications. Hot and dry, hot and wet, cold and wet, cold and dry. The letters being 28 are also associated with the mansions of the moon. You can see that here in this chart from the Shams al-Marif, where each letter in the order that we talked about is used to signify a different mansion of the moon. This is a concept in astrology that has to do with the cycles of the moon. We'll get into it more in another video. Also, there's a mythological understanding of the Arabic language. It was said by Hisham bin al-Qalbi that Arabic was first spoken by the giants of old. According to this account, the giants came out of Babylon and settled in Arabia, and they were the first to speak this language that became Arabic. It should be noted that this legend is a pre-Islamic legend about the spoken form of Arabic, not the written. We can understand that if the language you speak has a mythological root in giants or these mystical, magical beings, then the language itself may have some magical or supernatural things associated with it. So this is a common idea. Now let's talk about the academic understanding of these letters. So the academic understanding of the evolution of these Arabic letters is that what became Arabic first began as the Nabatean script, used to write Nabatean Aramaic or Nabatean Arabic. Specifically, the cursive form of this script became what we now recognize as Arabic sometime around the 4th century. Here you can see an example of an inscription, the Nabatean form. Okay, let's talk about art history, because these letters are actually extremely important in art history as well. So here we have an example of a 9th century Quran, and this is early Kufic, the style of calligraphy. This is an example from the Abbasid period, and as you can see, it's very stylized and beautiful. It's very bold and has this very interesting kind of thin line work with very, very pointillated dots. Now let's look at this. This is an example of Eastern Kufic. So similar to the other idea, but now more elongated and stretched out and triangular, and a little bit more angular in its understanding of those rounded shapes. Here we have a style that most people are familiar with. This is a Quran as well. This is a style of calligraphy called Muhaqqaq. Here we have Maghrebi style calligraphy. So as you can see, the beautification of the letters themselves was extremely significant and important, and was something that was valued. So much so that various traditions emerged in different regions. So in Islamic theology, the usage of human or animal representations became associated with graven images, which led to this taboo that these type of images should not be used in art and architecture. And in response to this, the artisans were very creative, and they began to use the letters themselves and words to decorate things. The letters, of course, were used for calligraphy, but also they appear in architecture all around. So here we see on the screen an example in a different type of calligraphy called Thuruth, and here we see the beginnings of form being created out of the letters as well. So this is actually in the middle, it says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we discussed that earlier, but inside of this kind of pear shape, right? So it's like a piece of fruit, and even the leaves of the fruit are also inscriptions with lettering as well. Kind of an example of what's called zoomorphic calligraphy. One of the great pioneers of contemporary zoomorphic calligraphy is an artist called Hassan Moussa, a French Sudanese artist. And here you can see that he's utilized the letters to create an amazing image of a man on a horse holding a long pole arm. And if you look deep, you can see all within it are Arabic letters. This idea that the words themselves can take shape and create form is present and has been around for a long time. The Iraqi artist, Mahdia Omar, back in 1940, was arguably the first person to bring the Arabic calligraphy or Arabic letters into a modern secular artistic context. Her application was inspired by previous Islamic movements, but she went further into exploring the mysticism of letters in this kind of secular way. Here's an example of her art, and you can see she uses these separated letters in a combination with this very vibrant kind of abstract style. She's definitely worth looking into if you're interested in art. Artists like this artist here, the South Asian calligrapher Saad Khan, who was part of what was called the Huroofiyah movement, drew on these same letters and their mystical tradition to inspire amazing and complex works of art. Check this one out. His work growing up always reminded me of graffiti. I really love it. One of the greatest living calligraphers is the Iraqi-born artist Hassan Masoudi, whose work blends calligraphy and the written word beautifully. He distills these poetic phrases into elegant morsels of color and negative space. Here you can see on the bottom, he's written, "I wish to be a butterfly flittering around the candle of your beauty." And the image is invoking both the butterfly and the flame of the candle. It's amazing work. This artist, Hassan Masoudi, actually went on to inspire a modern art movement called Calligraffiti, which is the combination of street art and calligraphy. This artist here that we see, El Cid, is a French-Tunisian artist who's very famous and very amazing. He mixes calligraphy with street art or graffiti and installs his murals in communities that he wants to uplift. He chooses phrases and poetry that reflects the environment in which he paints, bringing these concepts full circle. Words made up of letters are like a blessing into the environment. In this way, the essence of the letters is like a conduit for the expressions and the desires of our soul. With letters, we form words, and with words, we impress our feelings into the world. They are the building blocks of everything. Words chosen wisely can have great power to uplift or inspire, while words spoken with haste can cause heartbreak and destruction. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm an artist. I'm not a scholar, but I tried to be as accurate as I can. Please forgive me if I made any mistakes. And of course, if you know stuff that I don't, feel free to correct me down in the comments. If you like, you can subscribe to the channel. I'll try and update with more information soon. Or you can check out our community, Djinnology, which is on Reddit, where we are having a conversation in the study of the mystical, magical, and unseen. And we discuss the occult, we discuss the sciences, all from the perspective of the Islamic world. Thank you so much for your time. In the next video, hopefully we will be discussing the magic square.